I note the obvious differences in the human family. Some of us are serious, some thrive on comedy. Some declare their lives are lived as true profundity, and others claim they really live the real reality. The variety of our skin tones can confuse, bemuse, and delight, brown and pink and beige and purple, tan and blue and white. I've sailed upon the 7 seas and stopped in every land. I've seen the wonders of the world, not yet one common man. I know 10,000 women called Jane and Mary Jane, but I've not seen any two who really were the same. Mirror twins are different, although their features jive, and lovers think quite different thoughts while lying side by side. We love and lose in China, we weep on England's moors, and laugh and moan in Guinea, and thrive on Spanish shores. We seek success in Finland, are born and died in Maine. In minor ways we differ, in major we're the same. I note the obvious differences between each sort and type, but we are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. Now one by, the title of this one is called My People. It's a lot shorter, y'all. And it's written by Langston Hughes, which February the 1st is Langston Hughes' birthday. The night is beautiful, so the faces of my people. The stars are beautiful, so the eyes of my people. Beautiful also is the sun. Beautiful also are the souls of my people.
Thank you so much, June. And now I am delighted to introduce a special guest that we have this morning. And she is in leadership with the high school Democrats, both on the county level and on the state level. And this morning I want her to renew our hope in the future with a presentation that she did at the Women's March. And also I would like to present her with a check from Madison County Democratic Women to help out with the Madison County High School Democrats Summit. I welcome to the mic Ariana Smart.
Hi everyone, so many familiar faces, it's awesome. I'm Ariana Smart. I'm the vice chair of the board of the Alabama High School Democrats. So I help organize all the high school Democrats on a county level and a state level. So if you know a high schooler that would be interested in working on campaigns, meeting friends that are like-minded, or working on advocacy projects, I'd be so happy to talk to them and get them involved. I'd like to say thank you to the Madison County Democratic Women for letting me be here today. Also to all of you members who support the Democratic Women. I've worked with so many of you, and I know you all are an amazing group. So I thank you for being here and being a part of the Democratic Women, because, gosh, I don't know what I would do without y'all. You've always supported me and the interests of all of the high school Democrats. Everyone here is so full of passion and goodwill. It really is contagious, and I really appreciate how friendly and welcoming every single one of you has been to not only me, but all the other high schoolers who I've brought to a protest or to a dinner. It really means a lot. I also appreciate the work you do. Sometimes when you're having as much fun as this group has, you forget how the amazing work you're doing and how remarkable it really is. So, but this group actually does more for the amazing, brave women running for office than anybody else. So thank you for that. That's what makes me so excited for all the elections coming up this year. To just name a couple of the women running that are here today, too. Amy Wazluka, Linda Meigs, amazing. There's Deidre Dr. Willis and Laura Hall also. These are women on the front line, women who made the courageous choice to act, women we all know we have to support. Sometimes when I'm faced with a chance to do something, even if I don't realize I'm doing it, I question myself. I ask myself, do I know everything about this? Am I prepared? I'm not really suited for this. What if I screw it up? And this mentality that I see so much working with young people and also young women, it's the enemy of actually making change. So I'm here to say that we all need to take a playbook out of Deirdre, out of Linda's, out of Amy's playbook and act. We have to canvas, even if we're not too fond of small talk. We have to phone bank, even if we're not sure we sound nice over the phone. There was that one time we were on the phone with Domino's. We have to forget all of that and act. All of us have taken the first and most difficult step by coming together, getting off Facebook, and joining this amazing group of women. So now we get the fun part. We get to fight for our values. We get to fight for the women running. We have to act now, especially doing things we've never done or we're too scared to do. Because if we always do what we've always done, we're always going to get what we've always gotten. And that's a bunch of smug 70-year-old men who have had their same office for 30 years. Let's replace those guys with Linda. Let's replace them with Amy and see how our communities and our state change. Let's act. I'm only 17 years old. I was politically active when Trump was elected. But the first campaign I've ever had a title on was the Doug Jones campaign. I don't know what it's like to believe in a candidate with all my life, with all my might and lose. That's not a reality for me yet, and I don't think that, and I don't think about that. I don't think about failure. I don't think about losing. And I think that's why us high schoolers are so passionate and eager to act. So pretend you've never had your hopes crushed on election night. Pretend you've never seen your guy lose. And work without holding yourself back. This is a new era, a new political landscape, a new time in our history, a time for all of us to throw ourselves wholeheartedly into the causes that matter to us and the people we love. There is no room for cynicism, just act. Okay, now I'd like to quickly tell you all about an experience I had this summer. So last summer, I flew to Washington, D.C. for a literally life-changing 3-day conference of high school Democrats around the country called Summit. Throughout the trip, we were given organizing workshops by Alabama's very own political genius, Beth Clayton. And the best part, though, were the speakers who came to talk to us. I'm just going to name a couple. Nancy Pelosi, Howard Dean, the Vice President of Campaigns at Emily's List, Jason Kander, Terry Sewell, Anita Dunn, and Keith Ellison. What I learned about politics, advocacy, and myself was priceless. And it's the skills and lessons I learned that propels me to work as a leader today. This entire trip is organized and fundraised solely by other high school Democrats across the country, meaning there is no PAC paying people to talk to us or trying to influence our ideas, but it also means we're very limited in resources. I was very lucky enough that my parents had the funds to handle the fee and travel expenses, but I know there were people who were just as passionate as me but could not go because of the cost. So I'm asking for your help in getting teenagers from lower income households to Summit so they can meet political leaders and learn the skills that could change their future. This is a great way to support the next generation, and any contribution you make will go to the helping out kids with scholarships to help them pay for Summit this summer. I have 20 contribution forms. I would love if you could give anything. It really makes a difference. And I'd also, if you know a young person, this February 10th from 1 to 3, this is the first time they actual county high school Democrats are having a luncheon. So please invite them or give them my number, email, and I'd love to invite them and tell them all about it. We'll have amazing candidates like Amy and Linda and Deirdre Willis and Terry Jones there. Thank you.
Call out your phone number and your email for people?
Yes, of course. So my phone number is 256-698-2203. I'm sure if you ask Pam or anybody else, they'll give it to you too. And my email is Ariana, ARIANAG, smart with 2 T's at gmail.com. Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to see so many of you here. Thank you.
I'd like to make a small announcement, in-house announcement. Due to counsel from some very brave women, I would like to announce that our Community Outreach Division will now be canceled. Carolyn Wilson has resigned this morning, and I appreciate all the wonderful counsel that Carolyn has given me through these years. I love her with all my heart. And now, could we please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I would like to bring to the mic our Programs Director, Second Vice Chair, Janet Grant Burns, to introduce our speaker today.
It's not easy to follow a magnificent speaker like Ariana. It's just not easy. But I'm just so thankful to see you all here, and so pleased to kick off this first year that I've been an honor to be in charge of the programs. Only thanks to a lot of mentors can it come together. We had a wonderful panel discussion just this past Tuesday night. If you missed it, you might have heard about it. We had basically standing room only, and had an opportunity to hear from Dr. Preston Foster, Susan Higgins, as well as Dr. Andre Reeves, and of course David Person, about how we keep this fire burning and how we build and elect some people to represent us in Alabama in 2018. And so today, in this month, we're going to be focusing on legislative issues specifically. We'll have a learning opportunity. We'll have a chance to meet with several people who have been down for legislative days and have spoken with legislators about important agendas that affect us as progressives and as liberals in Alabama. And later in the month, we'll also have a great panel of women who are legislators who will come together and be able to speak to us about the inside of what's going on in Montgomery right now, as the legislature is meeting every week. So I look forward to those. Watch for that in your newsletter. And I wanted to welcome our speaker and his wife, and Benard Simelton, who is the president of the Alabama NAACP, the state conference of the NAACP. He was kind enough to agree to speak with us today, and I'm sure he has a lot to share. Benard attended the college at Mississippi Valley State University in Itta, Mississippi, and graduated with a BS there in sociology in 1976. We're about the same age. He received his master's in public administration at the University of North Dakota in 1981. And while at Valley, he was commissioned to be a second lieutenant in the Air Force, and he served 23 years in the U.S. Air Force. And during that tour of duty at the Defense Nuclear Agency in Alexandria, Virginia, he was selected to serve on the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty that was called START at the time. Some of us remember that well. He was in the negotiation team that was located in Geneva, Switzerland. This special assignment led to the signing of the START treaty between the U.S. and the countries of the former Soviet Union. Benard is active in our community. He's a member of the Indian Creek Church, where he serves as a deacon and is active with the Brotherhood. He's a life member of the NAACP and has served as president of the Alabama State Conference since October of 2009. Since joining the NAACP in Alabama, he's twice received the Regional Medgar Evers Award for Leadership and received recognition from the State Conference for outstanding leadership of their branch. He served on the Athens Limestone Foundation Board and is a past president of the Board of Directors of the Community Action Partnership for Huntsville. Benard and his lovely wife are the parents of an emergency medicine doctor in Atlanta, and also their other son is a medical device sales representative in Miami, Florida. So I'd like for you to welcome Benard to the podium so he can share some of his insights with us today.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
It's certainly indeed a pleasure for me to be here on this special occasion. And as I look out in the audience and see so many friends and people that I know, it's just an honor for you all to, for me to help you all here. I know some of you came to eat, and maybe a couple of you came to hear what I have to say. I do want to thank my lovely wife, Elaine, for almost 41 years for being here on today with us. And Janet, thank you for that warm, wonderful introduction. And Pam, thank you, and the women of the Madison County Democratic women for inviting me here to be with you all today. I will tell you that it's not often that I speak before a group of women. So men, let me see where you are. Maybe I get a couple of amens every now and then. Men. But is Ariana still here? Did she leave? Okay, well, that was a wonderful young lady, and I would imagine in the not too distant future that you're going to see her name on some ballot running for some position here in the state of Alabama, wherever she is. I was invited to talk this month in African American Month, and I'm proud to be here to be a guest speaker to kick off African American History Month. And I was invited to talk on the topic of building bridges and finding common ground among the variety of Democratic constituencies. Before I get into talking about that particular topic, I feel compelled to say something about specifically Black History Month. And for those who may not know, just kind of give you a brief overview of how African American, Negro history, Black history, whichever you prefer, how it got started. Because some may not be familiar with the history and how and why we celebrate Black History Month. So just allow me a minute to do so, and then I'll get to the main points on which I'm here to speak about. The celebration of Negro, Black history, African American History Month began with the idea of an individual by the name of Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And see, Dr. Carter Woodson believed, as many African Americans in particular believe, that the accomplishments of African Americans were not written, recorded in the history books. And so he began in 1915 to put together an opportunity to include the left out portion of the history of achievements and the accomplishments of blacks. And he wanted to include that in the history books, and he wanted to make sure that the world knew that African Americans made a significant contribution to to this America. So in 1926, Dr. Woodson saw the need to set aside a week to pay tribute to what at that time was called Negro History Week. And he chose the week of the second week in February, which includes the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln as well as Frederick Douglass, as a week to celebrate Negro History Week. And for many, many years, it was celebrated for a week. And then in 1976, it was moved to an entire month. And so today we celebrate African American History Month for the entire month of February. And I would say that still we should not just celebrate, we should not recognize the accomplishments of blacks just during that time, but during our everyday life, we realize that many things that we take for granted that African Americans, Negroes, had a hand in completing or developing. Okay, so that's the history of African American History Month, and so you can go home and feel proud that you learned something today about Black History Month. And also the lady that I forgot who it was came up and said that you had reservations for 51 and you had at least 15 extra to show up. And I hope that's a good indication of things to come here in the state of Alabama. And it's a lot better than, and I know it's more difficult on the cooks, but it's a lot better than having, 51 reservations and only 10 show up. So we thank everyone for showing up today. I want to put a disclaimer up front because the NAACP is a nonpartisan organization. We're nonpartisan, but we are not uninformed. We are informed organization, and we speak and we talk to issues that are near and dear to the organization and near and dear to the people that we represent on a daily basis. And so in 2008, Americans went to bed, or maybe before they went to bed, but around 8, 9 o'clock at night, you were tuned to the TV and listened to the returns come in. You heard Wolf Blitzer say that CNN had called it that President Obama had won enough electoral votes to become the 44th president of these United States. Everybody was very jubilant, and everybody was very proud to hear that great news. And everybody remembered what they were doing, and I certainly remember what I was doing. And my wife and I hugged each other, and we cried a little bit because we did not think that we would see that in our lifetime. So the question became, well, is America ready for an African American to serve as president of these United States? And I tell you that based on that election, America was ready to elect an African American president, but America was not ready to have a person of African American in office. Now, what do you mean by that? Well, when President Obama started serving his term, immediately things began to change. They began to limit his power as president of the United States. And many of the things that he tried to accomplish, he was not able to accomplish just because of the color of his skin. So America was ready to elect, but they were not ready to be governed by an African American. And so we see in 2007, we saw in 2017 on December the 12th, when Alabamians came together to elect and to do something that the pollster says was not going to happen, and even our Secretary of State was not able to predict the voter turnout. But we turned out in large numbers. Now, why did we turn out? Well, we turned out because we are sick and tired of the rhetoric that we are seeing coming from Washington, D.C. Every time you turn on the news, there is something else that's news breaking, that this administration is trying to either overturn, if it's not health care, it's trying to ban Muslims from coming into the country. And I'm not saying that we should let in and everybody into this country, but we cannot just say because you come from a particular nationality or particular part of the world that we're not going to allow you into this country. And as recently as a couple of weeks ago, we heard him say that we don't need any more people from the S-hole countries. We don't talk that way as presidents. We are more diplomatic in our comments and when we speak to our people, to the people of this country. And so we as people of good moral conscience, we have to do more and more to elect people who are of good moral conscience, to ensure that this nation returns from a nation of separatism and divisiveness to a nation of inclusiveness. That's where we have to take this nation to. And we saw in the election last month, in December, we saw that even with the endorsement of President Trump, that his ace in the hole was not able to defeat Doug Jones. And I know that the women, and men, I'm just sorry, the women turned out to vote, and they did not stay at home. They did not stay at work. They went to the polls and voted. And then we've got to continue that momentum in 2018. We cannot let it die down. We've got to continue to express the need to get out and vote, the need to make your voice heard in 2018. And I've come to the conclusion that there are about 5 things that we need to do if we're going to take back our country, if we're going to make America what it should be. The first thing is to identify individuals of good moral conscience to seek office.
Yes.
We can't just say, well, if you want to run, you just run. We've got to intentionally go out and recruit people, because we have some good people out there. Good people of good moral conscience. And we've got to get them motivated, fired up to run for office. Secondly, we must register people to vote. If you're familiar with the band system, and I know it's not 100% accurate, but there's some 16,000 African Americans alone in the Madison County that are unregistered voters. 16,000. And then let's add to that those who are kind of sometime voters, those who don't vote in special elections, and those who don't vote in midterm election. We are talking about a significant number of people. And it's our responsibility to go out and identify and find those people by knocking on the doors, by calling them on the phone, by sending them a text message, Facebook, using all the social media tools that are available to get those individuals up to vote. get them registered to vote. The next thing that we need to do is to educate people. A lot of times people are not familiar with the candidates' stand on issues. And we're not telling people that, they're not smart enough to know, but sometimes people just need a little help. And we've got to be those individuals who provide that additional help and knowledge to them so that they can make the right decision when it comes to electing people of good moral conscience. And then on election day, we've got to get those individuals out to vote. Whatever it takes, your churches, your social organizations, get them out to vote. Don't let them stay at home. We got to double our efforts that we did in December, on December 12, 2017. We got to double our efforts. If you call, say, 100 people, you've got to call 200 people. If you knocked on 100 doors, you got to knock on 200 doors. And we got to get our churches involved. And the fifth and final thing that we need to do is, once a person is elected to office, once we work hard to get them elected, then we've got to hold them accountable. We cannot allow them to go to Montgomery, go to your city council, go to Washington, D.C., and be so comfortable that when they, quote unquote, screw up, they don't feel that they are going to be challenged by the constituents back home.
Yep.
And I remember, I'll just call his name, Congressman Mo Probst. He did not want to hold in town hall meetings.
Yep.
He did not want to hold town hall meetings. Why?
Scared.
Because he was afraid to be challenged on the issues that he was voting on. And so we got to hold them accountable for their action. So, someone also asked me to talk about the vision that we have for race in Madison County. And I will tell you, the vision that I have for race relations in Madison County is the same as the vision I have for race relations in the state of Alabama and in this nation. And that is the same as Dr. King said when he said, we've got to judge people not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And that's the vision that I have for race relations in Madison County. And that's the vision that I have for race relations in the state of Alabama and in the United States of America. We have got to work together. We've got to pray together. We've got to get out on the streets together and knock on doors together to get those people out to vote. And then we will be able to say, thank God Almighty, we have changed this nation.
Yes.
So, as we prepare for 2018 election, I'm asking all people of good moral conscience to come together so that we can change the landscape of our congressional legislative body and move it from one that is putting party before country to one where we put our people and country before party. That's what we have to do. That we as people of good moral conscience must do if we are to save our nation. Thank you very much. May God bless you, and may God bless you. I don't know if that now or later.
Yes.
Yes, I'll take a question. Yes, ma'am.
I'm baffled, 16,000 African Americans in this county of
Unregistered.
voting age are not registered to vote?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you account for that?
How do we count them?
How do you account for that? I mean,
Oh, well.
if it's this bad in Madison County, what is it like below Montgomery?
Right. Well, that's a good question that I don't have an answer to. But I know that, again, in the van system, we can go into the van, and people familiar with the van system, Voter Action Network, okay. It's what we use to determine where we want to kind of go and do canvassing, for either phone banking or knocking on doors. Because it tells, the number of people that are unregistered, the household. It tells how many people in your house are registered voters. And again, it's not always 100% accurate, but give or take a couple thousand, it's accurate. And it has the street address, the doors, and people are very apathetic still. And you talk to some of our millennial voters, and they will say, well, I don't have time for that. And that's why we got to educate. We got to, get the word out that if you don't vote, then this is what's going to happen. That Pell Grant that you, not Pell Grant, but those grants that you get to go to college, the health care, all of that is going to be impacted if you don't get out and vote. The criminal justice system, is going to continue to get worse if you don't get out and vote. So, yes, ma'am.
I think one of the things we encountered as we did our canvassing, even with people who were registered to vote, who had no intention of voting, they still have in their minds that, why should we vote? It's not going to count. There's no place at the table. And we really did have to convince them, if you just get out and vote this time, and you help us elect Doug, because you can't afford to have Roy Moore, Jeff Sessions, and Donald Trump in the same city. The state of Alabama, and that drove us. Doug drove us, but Roy Moore also drove us. But we've got to, now that we've convinced them, your vote really does matter, and we've shown them. Now we have to come through with our promise. There will be not just a table and a seat, but there's going to be something for you to eat that fits your needs where you are and where you hope to be. There's something for everybody. We have to. I'm not taking over your place.
No, ma'am.
Sorry, but that was just what we learned about ourselves as we canvassed throughout the city in barbershops and parking lots and individuals with us at ball games. There's so much work to be done, but until we can change their mindset, those 15,000, we've got to find out where they are. That's our next step. But also following through on our commitment that we're going to have justice and fairness no matter where we are.
And not poison.
Exactly. That's right. So change the mindset. Thank you.
Yes, Edgar.
Another thing that prohibits people from voting are the voter ID and voter suppression. I don't know if you all remember, but President Clinton had an initiative called the Motor Voter. So when students, when they were 16 or whatever, when they went to get their driver's license or permits, they were automatically registered to vote. Well, they got rid of that. And then they made it, the laws made it almost impossible to do voter registration drives. So those things contribute to the number of people that are not registered to vote, and that's something that we must overcome.
And got rid of the driver's license bureaus where they were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and the voter ID, you have to have an ID which I thought is really strange. You have to take your you have to get a birth certificate to get a driver's license, and
And my position on that is, that is the law here in the state of Alabama. We've got to use that to elect people that's going to, change that.
Right.
We can certainly complain about it, and we should, but we can't let that stop us. That is what is required, and we got to use that to defeat those who implemented these laws.
I've noticed on the National League of Women Voters website, they support a national amendment for automatically registering 18-year-olds when they become 18.
Right.
And I
great.
don't know what's happening with that, but it seems like that ought to be something that we press at the state level as well as the national level.
Right. I mean, that's a great thing. That's a great observation, and that should be automatic. You automatically register to vote unless you take something physically to deny and say, well, I don't want to register to vote. When you turn 18, it should be automatic that you register to vote. But, you know, the other folks are afraid of that because they know that, you know, a lot more people of good conscience will vote. Yes, sir.
Have there been any movements on the ex-cons of restoring their voting rights and stuff?
Yes, Alabama still makes it very difficult, you know, for previously incarcerated to get their voting rights restored. Now, of course, we saw last year that the legislature defined the moral turpitude. And if there's any attorneys in here, you can help me out with this, but the moral turpitude for many years was left up to each county to decide, you know, what is moral turpitude for them. Right. But they did standardize it for the state, and there's still some confusion about that. But I tell everybody that, you know, if you have served your time, paid your dues, then, you know, let's try and get you registered to vote and let them tell us that you cannot vote.
Right. In that 16,000, was some of those ex-felons captured?
I don't think so, because they would not normally have been, well, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if some of those not, but normally it would not, but there could be some in there.
Can I just say one kind of tag on to his answer about that? And Kathy's going to keep me right on it, but the ACLU and the
League of Women Voters.
No, I'll think of it.
The Legal Services of Alabama
Legal Services
and the
of
Southern
Alabama
Poverty
are working to get the information out for formerly incarcerated people. There are a lot of people who can vote and just don't know it right now.
Yeah.
They just need to register. And the League of Women Voters is hosting a session on that, right?
So I'll tell you a little bit about where we're at on this, because we're kind of right now in the organizing, forming phase, but I'm working with Laura Hall, Representative Laura Hall, and several other groups around the community to create what we're calling a committee right now, coalition to reach out across all of the 5th Congressional District to directly touch each individual, to inform them with a direct mailer, hopefully, that they can get their rights back. And there's a group in DC, Campaign Legal Defense Fund. I think Cooper Green recommended I talked to her, but she was going to work with us to basically we're going to go and create a coalition to try to at least educate everybody on what they could do to get their voting rights back, and hold a series of clinics. And we would be a part of that. And we're hoping to find a group within Huntsville that is led. We would like to have it, the leadership of this be a group that's like a minority-led group that we would all be partners with, because we feel like it's really something that we would like to see. You know, we want to restore everybody's voting rights.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. Now I've got a few people that I would like to recognize as candidates and former public officials. And the first is Peter Jeffreyon, who is running for Congress, 5th District. I would also like to recognize Linda Meggs, who's running for Alabama State House of Representatives. I'd also like to recognize Amy Wazaluka, who's running for Alabama Senate. I'd also like to recognize former Congressman Parker Griffith.
Really pat on the back. 2 years ago, a young man finished at Bob Jones and went to Yale really hate on the sophomore short Cosby.
And now I'd like to call to the mic our fundraising director, who has some very exciting news for us today, Karen Corp.
Thanks for bringing me up here after that charismatic speaker you just had.
You're welcome.
For those of you that know, I was recently made fundraising chair, and my goal is to bring in speakers and entertainers, as many as I can possibly get in here. And I'm looking for some big names, and I'm looking for some not so big names, different price points, different. There's just different lots of things. One of the big ones we're looking at right now is Stephen Colbert. We're also looking at Kamala Harris and several others, possibly Jimmy Kimmel. We're going to see which of the trio of the talk show hosts that we can get in here. But I think we've got a story to tell that they're going to be interested, especially Colbert and Kimmel, who've been very vocal about the Alabama race that just happened. So I'm hoping that we can use that to get a reduced fee. But the first speaker I've already got lined up. We just finished this. We just kind of put it to bed, and some of you, I hope, have heard of him. His name is John Pavlovich. He is a minister from North Carolina who woke up on a Wednesday morning in November of 2016 and did not believe what he read. And it just totally changed him. He started writing essay after essay, and I'm sure many of you have read him. He's now written a book called The Bigger Table. If you don't have it, you need to grab it. He'll be bringing lots of them when he comes. We're going to have I've contacted him. He's just as wonderful as I thought he would be, which is always good when that works out, because it doesn't always. So he's going to be doing a private dinner here that will be at 1892, and that's going to be for 16 people. And we've just announced that a couple days ago, and haven't even gone public with it. We already have 6 of the 16 seats. So if anybody wants to do that, if you want an intimate dinner with him to talk to him about some of his philosophies, then talk to me and we'll get you signed up for that. The second thing we have, and that by the way, that's on March 9th. It's a Friday night. On March 10th, there'll be a cocktail reception that'll be a little bit higher price than the regular ticket price. That will be here on Saturday, March 10th, and then Saturday evening, probably 7 o'clock. I don't know if we've locked in on the time, but I think 7 o'clock. He will speak here, and I think we're going to have to open up as much of this as we can to make that happen. The charge for that speaking, we're trying to keep it low. It's going to be $25. $10 if you're a college or high school student, preferably Democrat. So that all students can come, including that wonderful person who was here earlier. I told Peter, I said, if you win your seat, you better watch out in another few years. We are looking for 3 or 4 people to help underwrite this thing. Parker. They would like to help out. He's got a very, very reasonable fee, and he's just a wonderful. He says, don't rent a car if you don't mind carrying me around. I don't need a car. He's just been fabulous to work with, and I said everything I dreamed of. So anyway, that's coming March 9th and March 10th. We're working on several others, so we will keep you posted. But please, everybody, come out and support this. If we can turn this into a pretty good moneymaker, the reason I agreed to do this is because I want to funnel money to Democratic candidates. And I pretty much said when I agreed to do it was, as long as the money goes straight to candidates, we can help some more people get elected and keep this ball rolling that we got going. Wonderful. Any questions?
When will the tickets be on sale?
You're going to have to ask the computer people about that.
They're going to sell out fast.
Yeah, I think it will. I hope John actually contacted me this morning and said he wants to put it on his website, and I was a little nervous about telling him he was going to be speaking at a country club. But anyway, he's kind of a down-to-earth preacher guy, and I said, now don't get the wrong idea, but it's not that kind of country club. Anyway, he wants to put it on his site, and I need to get all that information. And we've got the prices worked out, but we don't have like tickets yet. But I'm sure we'll be going on the website to get them, or you'll be going on the website to get them. Yes.
I was just wondering if you managed to snag one of the top 3 talk show hosts. Would that be here, or would you see it at the Civic Center?
No, that would be at the Concert Hall at Civic Center.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
Be like
that's going to be what I hope will be the biggest moneymaker. I did contact the representative for Gloria Steinem, which is one of my personal heroes. She's a little expensive, and I haven't ruled out seeing it because it was approached to me of this is the price. But if you don't have that much, you know, we would entertain an offer. So that's all you have to tell me, and I'm all over that. All I can say is no. So we got some really good possibilities, and we're digging. I've got a small team. I'm looking for people to be on this fundraising team. If anybody's interested, we're having a good time. This is an exciting time to be doing this. So anyway, other questions?
I just have one. Is there any chance of, and this is no offense to here, but changing the venue to someplace larger?
You know, the biggest question I've had is, I don't know how many people will come. I
think this will be sold out.
Yeah, here's the thing is when I say his name, people are going, oh my God. Or they go, I think I maybe have heard of him. So there's no middle ground. It's either you're over the moon or you've never heard of him. If you haven't heard of